Hello, everyone, and welcome to the CEO and Market Expert interviews. I'm your host, Lucian. Some of you know me as Triangle Investor from X or former Twitter. Today, I'm joined by my returning guest, F3 Uranium Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Dev Randhawa. Dev, welcome back. You are always a great guest to have.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure to be on with you. I like your questions and I like your enthusiasm for our industry. We need more advocates, especially when there's a lot of white noise going on. So we need voices like yours to kind of give people perspective.
Thanks, Dev. You can touch on the uranium market, on the current, let's say, drop in uranium
Sure.
spot price and equities. What's your take?
Well, I think there are people smarter than me that maybe can say, but to me, I'm astonished that with $86 uranium, you're seeing this sell-off. And to me, I guess sometimes I think we're all in the long game, but obviously a lot of people aren't. They're
Yeah,
into the trade, go from here to Bitcoin to here,
yeah.
to go to copper. Copper, that was 3 days. Now the same writer is talking about copper is talking about Molly. Like in 3 days, that was the entire attention span
Yeah.
that I saw. And I was like, if you believe in copper, well, copper is a long term, Molly is long term. So I think I'm astonished at the short term thinking and the panic running to the exits. Yeah, somebody sold a little bit of uranium at $86, but we were sitting there at $50, $60 for so long. We finally break out to 106. I get it. Um, but the world, let's step back. The world needs so much energy. 3.5 billion of our 8 billion in the world don't have enough, have no energy, or they need a lot more to have a normal, be able to cook their meals. So we need energy, whether it's renewables, it's hydro, and we need fossil fuels, and we need, and those who want cleaner power, absolutely, nuclear power. We need a lot of it, and in the fact that you know you're seeing bipartisan support in the U.S. tells me that even the extreme left realize that for us to go to net zero by 2050, we've got to include nuclear power because it's the only carbon non-carbon footprint power that's baseload. There's nothing like it, and it's got its issues with safety. I understand that, but this is what you and I've been talking about for the last 2, 3 years. Well, the story hasn't changed. The
Yeah.
uranium price has, and people are panicking and reacting to that. But, money is made by having a long-term view, not short-term views. And every bull market has its ups and downs. And meanwhile, investors need to focus on those companies that continue to build, do joint ventures, keep drilling. You know, you know, us and F3, we haven't quit drilling. We haven't quit doing joint ventures, spinning out F4, doing the Denison deal before Christmas. So we haven't stopped doing business despite the noise out there. We as a company are acting the same where we were when it was $50, $20, now that it's 100. That our
Yeah.
strategy is not, which is to add shareholder value. That's our number one goal.
Yeah, you mentioned F3, F4. Let's update your current
Sure,
shareholders with company developments. First thing,
sure,
as we know, you announced the initiation of
sure.
spin-out of 14
Absolutely.
properties to F4. How is the process
Yeah,
going, and when can we
it's
expect
it,
closing of the deal?
sure. Well, there are a lot of legal steps.
Of
So
course.
I'm not a lawyer, but the big part is doing an evaluation. Then to file the proper legal documents, you have to have property reports that are updated. So you got to make sure those are done. So basically, when we're doing this, like it's like a full audit of everything you do before you spin out, so that shareholders, when they vote, they have all the information in front of them. So there's a lot of steps legally, but the first step that's been done that was crucial was evaluation. And now we're putting together the information forms that will go to shareholders. that's where we're at right now. And while that goes on, we're busy drilling, and et cetera. But it's just a legal process of, you know, butterflying, basically. At the end of the
Yeah,
day, there'll be a record date where if you own the stock, you will get a free share of F4. And because they would have 450 million shares out, we're doing for 10-for-1 rollback, and then we'll do a small financing, and then we'll go public with it sometime. F4 will probably have F3 as a shareholder of 9.9. For that, they'll put in hard cash. They won't be for free. So the idea is to make sure that F4, with 14 good projects, 3 joint ventures in it coming out of the chute, is a strong one. It's a strong, right out of the chute. And to be one of those exploration companies, we've picked out a new president to run that, right? And I'm very excited for this person, and very competent, knows the uranium industry. So once we get those pieces in, but we're on it. Blake's is a great law firm, and Ray and Sam are on top of. It's all about taking information, pulling it together in these legal document forms that need to go out, and that's what you need to send forms to TSX. You've got shareholder issues, so you got to bring all those together.
Of course, yeah. There are steps that you cannot skip, of course.
No, you can't.
Yeah. Winter drilling is underway at PLN, and the first hole already returned phenomenal results. You have
Right.
intersected mineralization, including 2.2 meters of scale
Yeah, very high
radioactivity.
grade.
Yeah, more than
Yeah,
65, I believe, CPS within
it's a better
16-meter
hole.
interval. You must be excited, right?
It's a very good start. Like basically, you've got literally, as my hands show, you've got this A1 conductor. At the very north end of it is the JR zone. And then over here, parallel to it, is the B1. At the end of the B1 is where we saw the most alteration. So we've put one rig to finish off the JR zone. There's 2 reasons. One, you want to find out how many pounds, you show as many pounds as you possibly can get out of that zone. Because when if you're going to have M&A talks with people, they want to know how many pounds do you have and how does that relate to your market cap, right? So that's one reason. The also is we're going to do our own PA next year, and to show how many pounds we have. Because since the BRIEX days, we have to have 43 101s, and we ourselves can't say we've got so many pounds of uranium. We have to have an outside person. So we're drilling away at but we know that everybody's waiting for us to find another pot of uranium along A1 or B1. Now we're focusing at the end of B1 because if you look at on the website, there's some, the actual hole that was drilled, it's all in core box. And in the box, you can see the various levels, and you can see how bleached it is. That means a lot of uranium went through this system. Now, where did it go? That's what we're trying to figure out by drilling different ways through this altered zone, different angles, below it, above it. And that's where one rig, you can't rush it because every hole you get back is a learning one. So if you went down here, expected this, but you got this, okay, how does that change your next drill hole, right? Every drill hole teaches you something and where to do a better drill hole the next time, okay?
Yeah.
And that's how that's the reason why you can't put 5 rigs on it and go find uranium, is because you'll be drilling blindly. So I know it's frustrating for investors to be patient and going, why one rig? It's because it's a brand new area. Once you find something and you understand it, then you can kind of take more risk in 2 or 3 drill places. But right now, it's a new area, and we haven't hit a high-grade zone yet. We've hit what keeps us excited about this area is the super high-grade boron that's up there in the sandstone. And boron is one of the biggest ways you've got uranium. It's a big pathfinder element. If you find boron, let's put it this way. If you go to most deposits, whether it's Arrow, Triple R, or any of these, you will find boron. So when you see a lot of boron, you see a lot of alteration, and you see a conductor, and along with the alteration, this bleaching, then you go, okay, uranium has been through here somewhere. So that's why we are focused on B1.
Yeah, did you have any similar experience of finding a strong presence of boron on some other properties in your career?
Yes, JR zone, the JR zone we've got right now, we found a lot of boron. I think there was a fair amount in the triple R and the J zone in our first life. Yeah, and that's the thing that as I try to get people off the edge of the cliff to die. There's is that you got to play the long game, and I'm like all the other investors. I am betting on Ray and Sam, who have found three deposits before, to take all that knowledge of success and failure, because we've missed holes. You learn from your failures as much as your success, and go, okay, knowing what we know, where do we drill? So I have tremendous faith in Ray and Sam, in the fact that a lot of flow through companies who keep offering us money, they also have a lot of confidence that Ray and Sam, okay, will continue to find another pod, because that's the game changer for us. We know that. We know the pressure is on us to find another pod of uranium. We're a unique stock as I think about it. We are an exploration company, but we found something already. We have found a blob of uranium. Some analysts say 20 million pounds, some say 30. Actually, it's one low is 17, but so let's say between 17 and 30 million pounds, we're going to find more pounds. That's the belief. And so that's where we're heading, is to find more pounds, more importantly, more pods. Because if you go back on Triple R FCU, you see that the uranium is like in five pods. It's like strings on a pearl, and some are 50 meters apart, some are 200 meters apart. Some have blobs of uranium with 100 million pounds, some have 5 million pounds. It's not predictable. It's not linear. So what we know is along here, we believe there's more uranium along these two. And that's one project, the PLN there, but then also, we have seen success of other people drilling near our A3 zone area. So we've got another area that's more on the west side of our project that we're going to be doing some work on. So, I know we're all fixed on the A1 and B1, but we have other conductors on this project that we will be testing, and you never know. I mean, look at the success NextGen is having right now on their drilling. The market doesn't give them much credit, but they found a wonderful new area out there for blue sky. But you got to keep drilling, because that's the only way you add value. But I hope investors, can trust Ray and Sam, because these guys are, the best that's ever been in the industry. They have found three deposits. No one's done that. So they'll take their knowledge of uranium in the unconformity. They'll take their knowledge of what uranium looks like in the basement. They have both experiences, and now they'll use that, I believe, wisely moving ahead.
Dev, how deep are you drilling this time? And if you can tell me, when do you expect this drilling to finish?
There is no finishing. We're going to drill all year. There is no.
No, I mean winter drilling.
Oh, the winter drilling, typically, in April, when this, for some people, and it's not. See, we're lucky we're on land, so it doesn't impact us to be on a lake. Like when you're drilling on a lake, you got to get off there typically in March before it starts to melt. But our main problem is that when that snow starts to melt, it makes mud everywhere. And if you continue to work with trucks and stuff, you will ruin those roads, because there'll be mud. Then you got these big tracks everywhere, and it'll make for a terrible road. So you always have breakup. And that's typically in April. It's completely dependent on the weather, completely. But it'll happen. There's a natural break.
Yeah. And how deep are you going this time?
I would say most of us we're looking for something around 200, but we go down to 400, right? We go right down. If this is our target, we'll go right through it in the middle of it. We'll keep going because um, that's one thing we learned up in the JR is that when we went a little deeper, we found a bit more uranium. So, you know, but obviously drilling costs money, and so you got to have some boundaries.
Yeah, yeah. You're active on your other properties as well, the ones you have
Yeah,
partnership option agreements.
right.
I had Sherman Dahl and Ray Ashley yesterday in my
Yes,
show, and looks like a very good exploration work and drilling is
yes,
ahead
it is.
for Clearwater West, with your
Exactly.
company as an operator. Do you believe, especially given the location of this property, that this is a very good
Exactly.
exploration potential for another discovery? Why not?
Absolutely. It's location, and you've got a well-experienced public um, a person who understands the public stock markets in Sherman, and you've
Mhm.
got the help of Ray, and it's not a fluke that NextGen's latest discoveries just a little north of there in a line. So, these deposits, you know tend to be together, in certain lines together because they're structures. These
Yeah, on
structures
trend.
tend to be fairly straight. So it's in the right area. Certainly, you're near two world-class deposits. Like I said, that's the other thing about F3 and SKRR. If they find pounds, okay, they've got a mill that's going to be built by NextGen
Next gen.
and by Fission. There's going to be a mill, and over they're going to run out over the next 10 to 15 years. And that's how long it takes to permit basically something in the basin, 7 to 10 years.
Yeah, and that property is adjacent to Vision's PLN,
Hmm.
Next Gen Rook, and Orano's Preston properties on the south, if I
Absolutely.
remember correctly. Yeah,
Absolutely. It's
yeah, definitely.
location. And you need location, you need geology, and you need someone to understand that geology and turn around and turn that into a deposit or a discovery.
Yeah. You have another drilling underway, not you, but you have a partner that is doing that,
Yeah.
Traction Uranium Corp, and they are
Yeah.
funding all this drilling for an earned in interest. How is that going? Do you have any information, and what is the
Uh,
main highlights
I,
of
I,
this project?
I, I purposely never ask for any drilling until they're done.
Uh-huh.
Um, it just makes sure that I'm not accidentally say something in an interview or something like that. So they're
Makes sense.
drilling, and um, so I'm excited for them. They're good people. They need, great to find something for them. Um, and then we also signed a deal on the Murphy, which is a big deal. They got to spend $10 million for 50%. It's a very strong group. And the SPR, which is the old Sprott, some of their finest people spun out on their own. And SPR, they are helping them do it. So, we've got, and we're looking at another joint venture right now. So I won't be surprised if, F3, F4, have four joint ventures going this summer. There's an old saying Rick Rule used to say, it's your mind, your property, other people's money.
Yeah.
We've never been, let's get into uranium. I've been doing this since 1996. It's been, part of who I am. And so when you have bear markets, is the time to pick up projects. And that's what we've
Exactly.
been doing. So we are benefiting from 5 years ago work, 6 years ago, buying projects, and people were dropping them. And our guys would put together reasons why we should have it. And then we stake them. So now we take these properties and we're staking them, and we've got them ready for other people to come drill. So we've done some drilling on the properties ourselves. We kept PLN because we'd put so much money into PLN. And thankfully we were smart because, you know, look what's happened. We made a big discovery on it.
Yeah. I had David Cates in my show a few weeks
Oh,
ago
good.
from Denison Mines, and
He's
he
a good
spoke
guy.
very highly of you and your company, of course, and you have a cooperation with Denison Mines. My
Right.
question is, how is that cooperation going? Is
Good.
there any new
Good.
moments?
Well, I've known obviously the Dennison family for some time. And as you know, in 2013, we sold the west side of the east side of the Athabasca. Everything we had there, we sold to Dennison.
Yeah.
We kept what was on the west side. People don't realize that there was nothing out there. There was no arrow. There was nothing out there, and so we kept those projects. So we've had lots of experience working with them. And Dave's a gentleman. When you shake his hand, you know you've got a deal. He's not gonna, at the last hour, try to change anything. He's honorable, and it's just a lot easier to do business with people when they're like that. So we were able to get they own about 6% of the company. That 15 million is crucial. It gives us about 25 million of hard cash. And Lucio, the hardest thing to do is to raise hard money, especially in a bear market like right now we've got, whereas soft money is always available for brand names, and Fission is a brand name.
Yeah.
So we can get flow through money. We just can't, it's not easy as raising hard. So the Fission relationship, I chat with David quite a bit. I met him when I was out there for the PDAC and the Red Cloud conferences. So yeah, they're smart people. What a brilliant idea to use ISR up in Canada. I mean, what's the biggest problem Cigar Lake had? Water. Well, what you need a lot of water, and etc. for ISR. So brilliant idea, and I'm excited to see it unfold.
Definitely. You mentioned PDAC. How was there? What were the main questions you got there from small investors, retail, and
Yeah,
of course there were big
well,
boys there also. What were they
oh
asking?
yeah, everybody was there, but it's kind of a zoo, as you know, because everybody is trying to see everybody, and every evening there's 5 different parties. Um, I went to a wonderful one at Dave Talbot's house. There was UR Energy, John Cash.
Mhm.
Um, you know, Everybody was there that I wanted to see in one room. You know, I wanted to see, John Cash because of our relationship in Wyoming and
Right.
Strathmore.
Yeah.
But it was just good to talk to, everybody in the industry that been there for a while and etc. It was, Dave Talbot did a great job. So the question is, what's next? Investors appreciate that we've got a good track record. We've made the discovery on JR, but what's next? And so we spent most of our time explaining why, we like the B1 conductor and why we're testing that area so much. So, we know there's uranium there. It's a question of when we find it, not if.
Dev, my final question. I believe this is going to be a long uranium bull market. So can
Yeah.
we expect F5 uranium?
Well, if we make a discovery on F4, absolutely. You know, um, I this you know I've been doing this since 1996, and I point that out because my attitude has never changed. My attitude is that um, we need energy. What's the biggest challenge for AI right now? They're saying, okay, we need chips, yes, but the next thing is power. You're hearing about um, Amazon, AWS, maybe setting up their own nuclear plants, SMRs, because they're realizing, okay, where do we get our power from? And are we going to have brownouts? Because unfortunately, politicians have led certain group of our population who are naive to think that somehow man can tell the wind when to blow and the sun when to shine.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, mankind can't do that, and therefore these the renewable projects have not turned out at all because one of the problems they do is they estimate they're going to have so much sun and so much wind. But what happens if you get a winter with no wind? What do
Mhm.
you do then? So I think the politicians are realizing that old line about renewables saving us from fossil fuels isn't working. So now we're seeing, I believe, both. I mean, the Republicans in the U.S. have pushed for uranium because they believe you need to have our own secure supply of energy, and don't do what Germany did, but make sure we have our own supply. So Republicans care about uranium in that sense, security. And now the Democrats realize, oh boy, renewables are not working, right? So what do? Let's make nuclear power green power. Now suddenly, you're seeing the support of, I don't know what the word inflation has to do with nuclear power, but as you saw, billions of dollars now are being set aside for nuclear power. And that's going to be needed if America wants to keep up, and be a world economic leader, that needs energy. Why is China trying to build 6 to 10 a year? 6 to 10 reactors a year China's trying to get to, right? But that's the kind of commitment you need from countries if you're going to get to net zero.